point it where you want to go and she'll beg for more.
Unbelievable. Today on Combustion Chamber, I finally get to wear my McLaren hat. Why? Because we have this one of only 10 in the world McLaren 600LT MSO. Let's get after it. Welcome back to Combustion Chamber. On today's episode, we've got this really rare McLaren 600LT MSO. But before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to our featured fan, Caesar Zambrano. Caesar, you're one hell of a kid. I want to get you something really special for your dedication, and I hope you like it. You're smart, man, and you've got what it takes to absolutely succeed in your future, man. And I think about you and your family all the time. Now let's go check out this McLaren. Mike, thank you very much for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
That's truly a pleasure. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, my man. This is one of the most unique cars I've ever seen. How did you come about getting this McLaren?
You know, I've always been looking to get a McLaren. In the last couple of years, there's been a real resurgence of McLaren on the street and just the iconic and unique styles they're coming up with. I'd always looked to get a McLaren, obviously with the British heritage, you know, from Surrey Woking. 1963 was the foundation of them, which was my birth year as well. So it was kind of kismet for me to end up with a McLaren. And there was a lot of 720s around and 570s, but I really wanted that 600LT. And when this one came around, it's an MSO edition, which is McLaren Special Operations Edition. I just had to leap on the opportunity. Even though I had a nice car, as you know, which was on a previous version of Combustion Chamber, I had to take that leap.
Why would you switch from a really nice Porsche GT3 RS? Why would you get rid of it at all, and what made you go for this McLaren?
Apparently you've been speaking to my wife. Why not? It's the first thing I say is when you can have a chance to get a unique car. I mean, this is one of 10. In fact, in its color, which is called South Grey, it's one of one. You have to take that opportunity. And as you said, great car before, the Porsche GT3 RS. I love that brand. But McLaren are just bringing out something special these days. And just look at them. They're every boyhood dream and poster vehicle.
What kind of power is this car putting out?
Stock, they're around obviously 600 horsepower because it's the 600LT, right? This car's had some love from a different tuner, a guy called Mitch McQueen. It's putting out over 800 horsepower. So when you combine that kind of horsepower with a car that weighs 2,400, 2,450 pounds, the power to weight is just insane. And of course you get no flex because it's all carbon fiber, the car.
What makes this car as unique as it is?
Well, it's all about spec, right? When you purchase a car, you want the right spec. So this car checked every single box on the spec list. It's like when you go into the menu and you say, I want one of everything. It's called level 3 carbon fiber. So what does that mean? Everywhere you look, there's carbon fiber on this car. It's got the track telemetry system, which is very unique. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but it comes with a little thumb drive. And when you plug it into the dashboard, it turns on the cameras. It has built-in cameras, built-in track telemetry. It has the track system in here, the track build on here, which is the roll bar, the 6-point harness. It's also lightened. It has what's called Senna seats, iconic from Ayrton Senna, so it has the Senna seats in there. It's got the 1016 Industries hood on here, which gives it that P1 look to it. Plus we finished it off with the Brixton forged wheels, which I think give it that little special, unique version as well. Of course, everyone notices this car because of the snorkel on the top. Pretty clever snorkel. It's not there for cooling. It actually drives the air straight into the turbo system. I think the other thing about this snorkel that is just unique is the sound. When they built this snorkel, as you probably noticed, the actual channel is inside the car. It's not on the outside of the car. And they do that literally for the audio sense to the driver. When you get on it and off it, because it's a two-way system, you can actually hear the air rushing down that snorkel. And that's just tremendous.
So which air scoop do you think is more functional? This one here on this McLaren or the Mitsubishi Eclipse from Fast and Furious?
When we take it out on the road, you'll get to see which one, and that'll quickly answer that question.
Well, why don't you say we get this on the road?
I think that's the greatest thing we can do.
So what kind of reactions do you get when you take this out to a show?
Oh, it's pretty spectacular, as you can imagine. I mean, there's been an influx recently of McLarens, right? So it seems to be the it car. A lot of 720Ss out there, 570s and so forth. and then you show up with a 600 LT MSO, especially with this particular spec, people kind of are drawn to it. So it's an exciting aspect. I mean, you remember my other car so fondly, the Porsche, and I always say that with the Porsche, you get some interest, good interest, but a lot of Porsche interest, right? With this, it permeates all generations and age groups, genders, and so forth. Everyone wants to kind of come and see this car, and it's a fantastic reaction. And obviously, you know, it's not why you buy them, it's part of why you buy them, but it's an exciting part of it is to know that people are so interested and enthusiastic about these types of cars. We pretty much went on the menu list and checked every single box that you could. So it's got the highest spec of any McLaren 600 MSO. It's a level 3 carbon fiber system, track telemetry system, the sports system, the visual carbon fiber, plus the very unique color scheme on the outside, which is really part of the iconic brand of McLaren because it's called Sarth Grey, and the Sarth Grey being, of course, the name of the town where Le Mans is run. So in 1995, when McLaren made its very infamous win with the McLaren F1 GT, they didn't know what to call the color. It was this color. So they called it the Sarth Grey to name it after the town of Le Mans. Of this spec, with the total spec, with the snorkel, etc., it's 1 of 10 in the world. With this color, it's a 1 of 1. There's been some enhancement to the power of this particular model, so it's not your average 600 LT. And as we're saying, when you get that kind of power to weight ratio, it creates for an exciting moment in one's life.
Well, can I feel some of that power now?
I've been waiting for you to do it.
Wow. Jesus.
Here we are again. Who would have believed it?
In Mexico again.
Like a budget rate version of the Fast and Furious. I call it the Fast and Mildly Annoyed. So I'd be sure, and you'd be the budget version of The Rock. I'm calling you the Pebble.
Yes, very, very low budget version of The Rock.
Both of us have the width where they had the height, you know, it's just, which makes for complexity when you're in these Senna seats, which was one of the other upgrades, obviously, in this car, is it has the lightweight Senna seats that remove about 50 pounds of weight from the car. It's longer than the 570. It weighs 221 pounds less than a 570. It's got 50% stiffer suspension than the 570 or the 720. The amount of grip that these cars have, with the great downforce, tremendous downforce coming off these cars. I mean, this car itself has 220 pounds more downforce than a 570S. So it's really designed to track. Just a crazy car with a V8 Cosworth engine, 3.8 litre. So it's putting out some serious power to weight.
What could you properly compare this to when you talk about power to weight? You know, as just that example, because there's cars, you know, even
Sure.
American cars now have such high horsepower numbers, but they're a bit on the heavy side.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I mean, you had recently, it was an incredibly great episode. You had a 900, I think, horsepower Corvette. Again, extremely fast car, beautiful looking car it was. I remember that episode. But weight-wise, it's about 1,000 pounds heavier than this car. So McLarens can only be compared to McLarens. I mean, you're talking about P1s and Sennas. A car that weighs 2,400 pounds and is putting out, in this case, over 800 horsepower, other than other hypercars, it's difficult to compare it to it because other cars are made of steel. This car is completely carbon fiber, including the monocoque suspension, which is 100% carbon fiber.
There is something a lot of people that watch this show may not know about me personally, but I'm a huge watch lover. And you've allowed me to wear this beautiful watch today, the Gulf Monaco by Tag Heuer. Can you tell us about the history behind the watch?
That's a great timepiece, isn't it? That particular watch was created as a 50th anniversary for what was called the Caliber 11. So Caliber 11 was created in 1969. It was a square watch and everyone went, oh, that's revolutionary. At that time it was 38mm square by about 13mm deep. A year later it was iconicized because a certain movie was brought out with Steve McQueen driving, I believe it was a 917 Porsche. I think it was the Gulf oil colors, right? It was just a remarkable time. So to symbolize Steve McQueen Gulf car, they made that color scheme, which is the 50th anniversary. I think his was, the model number was 1133B. That's the 50th anniversary, so it's celebrating 1969. Very limited numbers of the watch. I think there's about 4,000 copies of the watch in total. Just a great timepiece, if you like timepieces. I'm glad you recognize that one.
It's absolutely gorgeous when I first saw it, and I like the classic look that it retains.
Yeah, I mean, the square watch, they made it slightly larger. I mean, albeit 39 millimeters by 39 millimeters, it's a little thicker. But just the fact, even the fact that it has the curved back, which, you know, curves to the skin, is just wonderful. And it's a little unusual to get used to wearing it because, of course, the crown is on the left-hand side, right? So it's all very iconic. Made famous by Steve McQueen. Watch the movie Le Mans and you'll see that watch on his wrist.
Now you've got a unique timepiece on as well.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, one of the iconic sponsors for McLaren is Richard Mille, you know, great watchmaker. Brought out a watch to celebrate McLaren, which is this one, fully carbon fiber, tourbillon action on it. Great watch, and obviously the insignia here is for McLaren. You support the brand and you love the brand and all things McLaren.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a hell of a day. I've never gone down this road in Mexico, even in the Porsche, at that rate of speed, and felt the confidence that I do behind the wheel of this. Unlike the stars of Hobbs and Shaw, I have a hard time getting in and out of this car, but once you're in this seat and in the harness, I feel right at home.
Yeah, you have to kind of be an Olympic gymnast to get in when you're our size to get in and out of these cars. But like you said, you know, the Senna seat was designed for one thing, which is the track, so it holds you very secure, and then you add the 6-point harness, and you know, you're not going anywhere.
Well, you mind if I gotta give it just a little bit more gas? You cool with that?
I'm always cool when this car goes fast. Even the squeak of the racing brakes is all part of the visceral and audio excitement of this car.
I would never go into turns like this in any other vehicle.
Yeah, it's glue. It's glue to the ground.
Unbelievable.
Point it where you want to go and she'll beg for more.
Absolutely.
What is so important about driving faster than anyone else?
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Driving this McLaren today was beyond outstanding. Now, yes, I've said that about other cars on the show, and we've had a lot of great performance vehicles, but we've never had a hypercar quite like this McLaren. I absolutely loved it. And while we were in Mexico, I went through turns on a road at speeds I wouldn't even think about in another vehicle. This car is rigid, it's tight, and it's driver oriented. It's not just a flashy car. While it is beautiful, it is meant for driving, it is meant for getting on the track, and I absolutely loved it. And I absolutely love this watch. So what did you think about this McLaren? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and bell icon for instant notifications when we go live with new episodes such as this.